windows and things were falling.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And a lot of tree loss, of course, which is really sad. Very, very sad.
Big landslide. Where was it?
So there was a landslide up near Malabar Hill, a
Okay.
very bad one. And then Kalba Devi and Javeri Bazaar were terribly affected.
Oh.
I mean, you're talking about 4 and 5 feet of water with just,
Oh my God.
yeah. How did it come through Pune at all, Shifali?
I mean, it rained, but there were no high winds or any. It did rain. It rained the whole day, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't like last time. In fact, last time the cyclone bypassed Mumbai.
Yeah.
That time we had pretty high damage in Pune. I mean, we didn't have power for 3 days and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this time, I think Mumbai got the brunt of the winds and the rain.
Yes.
Pune did have rain, but it was not that bad.
Yeah.
Is Delhi getting ample rain, Jotendra ji?
Yeah, you know, Delhi never has things like in Bombay. I grew up in Bombay, no, so I know Bombay rains. But here, you know, it's nice. What happens is it rains for half an hour, 1 hour, then it opens up. But the problem is that when it opens up after 1 hour, 2 hours, and then the air becomes so humid and you can't breathe, you know. But otherwise, it's nice and pleasant. It never rains like in Bombay for 2 days or 3 days. It never happens. Very rarely, I don't remember.
We look forward to that because then we can all drink masala chai and eat hot bhajiyas.
I know. Yeah, true.
Okay, so thank you. So we are going to just begin, and we have started live too. I'm just going to share my screen.
Who's talking? Yeah.
I think they are trying to. Can you give me your mobile quick?
So good evening, everybody. A warm welcome to all our panelists, artisans, and our dear listeners to the live webinar hosted by Antran, an initiative of Tata Trust, on this special occasion of National Handloom Day. As you all know that these testing times have put us through a dilemma where we often find ourselves looking for answers. Amidst the chaos of the current pandemic, artisans nurtured under the Antran initiative have maintained positivity not only through coping with the suddenness of the outbreak, but coming together and showcasing hand-woven products, which was put up on the Antran Artisan Connect website. But they also draw inspiration from their culture, lifestyle, tradition, and expressing untold stories through craft and weaving into novel collections. I welcome Mrs. Shefali Vaidya, who is going to be moderating the discussion today. Shefali ji is an award-winning multilingual author and a textile enthusiast. I now give the floor to Shefali ji to begin and take the discussion forward.
Namaste. Namaste. And it is a high honor for me to be hosting this unique discussion between subject experts. Why do I hear an echo?
Yeah.
Hello?
Somebody said couldn't hear.
Yeah, I'm hearing an echo actually.
Okay. Maybe it will settle down.
Okay.
Sometimes it helps if you put your own headset on.
Yeah, my headset is on.
Okay.
My headset is on. So anyway, to continue, yeah, that's because there was a lag. I could still hear the previous speaker speaking, and after about 30 seconds, I think I came on. Yeah, hopefully.
No, it's fine. Shefali ji, go ahead. We couldn't see you though.
Yeah.
Can you switch on your...
Yeah. See, again, I'm hearing my own words back, so. Okay. Okay. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, can you hear? Can you see me now?
Yes.
Yes, madam.
Okay. Uh, so it's a great honor for me to be hosting this discussion, this unique panel comprising of artisan entrepreneurs and subject experts on today's day, which is a sixth National Handloom Day. I would like to introduce my panelists. We have with us today Hema Shroff Patel, who is the founder of Amba Weaves, a social enterprise committed to the preservation of traditional Indian weaving techniques. We have with us Dr. Bosco Henriquez, is the founder of Biodye India Private Limited, one of India's unique and foremost 100% natural dyeing units. His research for many years has helped redefine the use of natural dyes and has created a more sustainable approach towards textile dyeing techniques. It's very fascinating because India has a tradition of natural dyes which goes back all the way to the Sindhu Saraswati civilization days. Then we have with us Professor Jyotindra Jain, a renowned curator and art historian. His teachings and research encompasses the entire breadth of folk and tribal art, Indian popular visual culture, ritual dynamics, and cultural institutions of the 19th and 20th centuries. These people have redefined the face of design, craft, culture, and have brought a new design aesthetic, and they have promoted sustainable practices through their work. For years, their efforts and value addition to the sector has given craftspeople an inspiration to continue preserving the crafts and the rich traditional knowledge that comes along with it. They are associated with Antran as members of its steering committee. And then we also have a unique panel of artisan entrepreneurs who come from 4 different handloom clusters of Antran that Antran promotes. We have a young weaver from Nagaland. She is Lovi Toli. She weaves on a loin loom and she loves to dabble and experiment with the traditional form of weaving and contemporary design additions to the craft. I have seen her products and they are amazing. They are a unique amalgamation of traditional weaving techniques as well as a new design aesthetic. Then we have my favorite state, Manyabandha. From Manyabandha, Odisha, we have Bikash Mahapatra. He is a Manyabandha Ikat weaver who, with his background in being a percussionist, has perfectly fused the inherent skills in his weaving. Also from Odisha, from Gopalpur, which is another favorite weaving cluster of mine. I love the Gopalpur Tussar saris. From Gopalpur, Odisha, we have Jagjeevan Chanji. He's a tussar silk weaver specializing in the Jala technique. Jagjeevan has mastered the art form, maintaining a fine balance between quality and design. And we have from Kamrup, Assam, we have Nabanita Kalita, a young weaver who works with cotton, eri silk, and also with natural dyes. And she creates beautiful stuff using the extra weft technique. As we all know that the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, happened to us suddenly in March, and all of the ongoing activities in all weaving clusters and orders from various buyers came to a standstill. And many weavers, they still had work on the looms, but there was no demand to their work and they couldn't send their products. All the shops were closed, all the markets were closed. So they couldn't reach the consumers. On realizing the gravity of the impact it would cause to the craftspeople and their community, Antran's team created Antran Artisan Connect, a free of cost marketplace for artisan entrepreneurs. What was unique about Antran's Artisan Connect was that it was a place where artisan entrepreneurs could interact straight with the consumers and put up their products there, and the consumers could directly order from the artisan, and the artisan would ensure that the end consumer would get the product. It was meant to be a free of cost marketplace for artisan entrepreneurs from 6 clusters nurtured under the program to liquidate their stocks. The artisans put together online a stock worth around 1 crore. And here is the thing, of the stock, 75% was sold out during the lockdown phase, which is a huge and impressive figure. It showed that people were interested in buying quality handwoven textiles straight from the entrepreneurs. I would like to take this conversation forward by asking the very artisans who I'm sure have very unique stories to tell, considering they were the ones who went through and saw the real impact of this program. My first question is to Nabanita. नमस्ते नबनीता, आपका स्वागत है. आप आसाम से हैं. हमें थोड़ा बताएंगी कि लॉकडाउन में आपको किस तरह का अनुभव आया और इन 4 महीनों में आपने अंतरन आर्टिजान कनेक्ट प्रोग्राम में जो पार्टिसिपेट किया उसका अनुभव कैसा रहा, आपको कैसा लगा, क्या डिफिकल्टीज आई, उससे आपने क्या सीखा, आप अपना अनुभव कुछ बताएंगे उसके बारे में.
नमस्कार मैम. नमस्कार सर.
नमस्ते.
मेरा नाम नवनीता कनिता, मैं आसाम के कामरूप से हूँ. मैं एक अंतरन की एंटरप्रेन्योर हूँ. तो मैं कॉटन और एरी सिल्क के ऊपर साड़ी, स्टोल्स, दुपट्टे, ईयरडिस ये सब बनाती हूँ और एक्स्ट्रा वेव टेक्निक तेरा. तो अभी इन 4 महीनों में जितना भी वो प्रॉब्लम चल रहा है, जो सिचुएशन चल रहा है, उसमें से हमको क्या है, सब वीवर्स को भी क्या है, बहुत प्रॉब्लम फेस करने को मिल रहा है. क्योंकि जो भी लोग खाली, बहुत सारा लोग खाली भी पड़ा है. जो भी हमारे एसोसिएट वीवर है वो भी खाली पड़ा है, क्योंकि धागा ज्यादा से ज्यादा नहीं ले पा रही थी उस समय, तो उसी से दिक्कत हो रही थी. अभी जो भी पहले का सामान था वो भी स्टॉक में था लॉकडाउन की वजह से. तो इसीलिए उन दौरान अंतरन ने एक वेबसाइट खोली थी, जो अंतरन आर्टिजन कनेक्ट करके उसमें हमारा क्या है, जो भी प्रोडक्ट था वो थोड़ा सेल होता था और लोग भी खरीदते रहे, तो हमें अच्छा रेस्पॉन्स मिला उससे. उन दौरान हमको ये सीखने को मिला, जो प्रोडक्ट फोटोग्राफी अच्छे से सीखा. तो भी अंतरन टीम है, सबने अच्छे से सिखाया, हमने सीखा भी है. और सोशल मीडिया से हमको बहुत हेल्प मिली. अभी जो इंस्टाग्राम में फोटोज डालना, हैशटैग ये सब डाला भी सर लोग ने पहले सिखाया, उसके बाद हमने अपने मन से कोशिश करके उसको किया भी है. तो उन दौरान मैंने अपने एक साड़ी बनाई थी, कॉटन की साड़ी. तो उस साड़ी को मैंने अपने ऊपर पहन के उसको फोटो क्लिक करके इंस्टा पे डाला. तो सब लोग को क्या है, वो साड़ी जब मैं पहनी उसका ना अच्छा रिस्पॉन्स मिला, तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा उसी बात से. तो अभी मेरे इंस्टाग्राम पे एक हैंडल है ब्रह्मपुत्र हैंडलूम करके, आप उस पे आइए, देख सकते हैं, मेरा कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं मेरे से. तो मैं उसी से बहुत इंस्पिरेशन हुआ. अभी फोटोग्राफी मैंने पहले ज्यादा नहीं सीखा था मैम, सीखा है जब भी अंजना टीम ने सिखाया है फोटोग्राफी कैसे करना है. ऐसे तो नॉर्मल फोटो तो क्लिक करती हूँ, लेकिन प्रोडक्ट फोटोग्राफी तो बहुत अच्छे से लेना पड़ता है. जो भी प्रोडक्ट है तो क्या है, उसके ऊपर हम लोग नेचुरल जो भी है, पेड़ हो, जो भी सनलाइट, जब रोशनी आती है दिन के उजाले में, तो उस दौरान हम लोग क्या है, अभी प्रोडक्ट की फोटोग्राफी कर रहे हैं. उन दौरान क्या है, प्रोडक्ट की जो क्वालिटी है, जो भी प्रोडक्ट का जो वैल्यू है, वो क्या है, उभर कर आता है. तो उनमें से हमको अभी ये 4 महीनों में हमको उनसे बहुत इंस्पिरेशन मिली है.
थैंक यू नबनीता. मैंने देखी है, आपके पेज भी देखी है और आपके फोटोज भी देखे हैं, और बहुत इंस्पायरिंग है जिस तरह से आप मॉडल करके अपने फोटोज लेती हो और उससे आपको जो रिस्पांस मिलता है, बहुत अच्छा लगता है मुझे. आपके प्रोडक्ट्स भी बहुत इनोवेटिव हैं एंड आई एम लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू द नेक्स्ट फेज. जैसे आप जो नेक्स्ट फेज करेंगी उसके लिए भी मैं बहुत उत्सुक हूँ. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका.
हाँ, बना रही हूँ. ओके, थैंक यू
जी, थैंक यू. Abhi, now we'll talk to a young lady from Nagaland who is showcasing some amazing products. And Lovi, we've seen how wonderfully you've adopted to social media in the past few months. Could you please share your thoughts on how did you do it? And any other stories that you have about the digital modes of communication? What has been your learning from this entire process of doing product photography, putting it up on social media, responding to whatever queries that you get? Can you share with us your learnings?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the time. And I hope everyone is keeping safe and healthy. So the pandemic situation has left no other reason than to start our journey through digital marketing and engagement. So as you asked, I would like to talk about few things on how we have handled the engagement digitally, which was also quite a challenge for me. So during this crisis, digital engagement has become a great challenge for me. However, I should say that it has helped me greatly in many ways. And I also must state that it is a means where I have put a huge amount of efforts just to create a clear understanding and connection in between the interested buyer and the seller, obviously none other than myself. So I started this journey just a couple of months back. So actually, it was altogether a new thing for me. So handling buyers, making them understand about the whole process of the products, and sometimes order getting delayed, and also winning their trust, and taking orders becomes a major challenge in this present situation, especially when people are so much concerned for other essential things than to buy this kind of products. However, the effort which I put, which I gave, has bring out a good result, and I am, at the end, I am so grateful to all the buyers for placing their trust upon me despite this wavering situation. I feel humbled by their exhibition of patience, and yes, it has deeply encouraged me that I look forward to continue giving my best in this journey ahead with you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Loie. And I have to say, your traditional Naga jewelry is looking really beautiful, and you're looking wonderful. And I wish you all the success for the next phase of your journey. Now
Thank you
I
so
move to the next. Thank you so much. Now I move to the next artisan entrepreneur, Bikash Mahapatra from Manyabanda. As I told you earlier, Bikash is a percussionist. He's a young weaver, and he's creating some unique stuff. आई वुड लाइक टू नो फ्रॉम हिम विकास मुझे आपसे पता करना है कि आपका जर्नी कैसे रहा अंतरन आर्टिजान कनेक्ट के थ्रू और आपको क्या सीखने को मिला इस पूरे 4 महीने के टाइम के दौरान।
आज 6th हैंडलूम डे की नेशनल हैंडलूम डे के अवसर पे मैं सभी को नमस्कार करता हूँ। जो भी पूरे देश में, पूरा दुनिया में जो भी बुनकर भाई है हमारी, मैं सबको बधाई देता हूँ आज के स्पेशल डे पर। मुझे इस पैनल मीटिंग में पार्टिसिपेट करने की जो सुযোগ मिला है, इसलिए मैं खुद को सौभाग्य मानता हूँ। तो मैं सबको ऐसा बोलना चाहता हूँ कि मैं जो मानियाबंद उड़ीसा से हूँ, मैं एक एक्सपोर्टर हूँ। मैं इकत का साड़ी, स्टोल, दुपट्टा और फैब्रिक ऐसा कुछ बनाता हूँ। बात यह है कि अभी 4 महीनों से जो कोरोना की वजह से पूरे देश में, पूरे विश्व में जो असुविधा का सम्मुखीन हो रहे हैं पूरे लोग, तो विशेष करके हमारा जो बुनकर भाई लोग है उनको बहुत असुविधा हो रहा है। इसी सिचुएशन को आगे रखकर जो हमारा अंतरण टीम लोग है एक वेबसाइट बनाए है, जो अंतरण आर्टिसान कनेक्ट करके, जो वेबसाइट के जरिए में हम सारे आर्टिसान लोग हमारा खुद की बनाई ऑनलाइन के जरिए से तो बिक्री किया। तो ऐसा हुआ कि इससे 4 महीनों में जो सारा देश में लॉकडाउन हो गया, तो हम कहाँ पर नहीं जा सकते, तो एग्जीबिशन वगैरह ऐसा सब बंद हो गया। तो इसीलिए हम सिर्फ घर बैठे बैठे जैसे हमको सिखाया गया कि अच्छे फोटोग्राफी कैसे करना है, फोटोग्राफी करके सोशल मीडिया के जरिए से कैसे व्हाट्सएप, इंस्टाग्राम और पूरा हमारा जो वेबसाइट है इसमें फ़ोटो डाल के फ़ोटो डाला गया है और उनसे ऑर्डर कुछ आया है। फिर ऑर्डर आने के बाद हमने हमारा जो प्रोडक्ट है हमारा सेल कुछ अच्छा हुआ और बायर के साथ कनेक्ट होके बिक्री बटा चला। तो मुझे ये 4 महीने में मुझे सबसे अच्छा जो सीखने को मिला वो है डिजिटल पेमेंट के बारे में, क्योंकि हम जहाँ अभी जो सिचुएशन है पैसा मतलब हमेशा होना चाहिए, क्योंकि इसकी वजह से बहुत सारे काम भी बंद हो गया, जैसे यान भी आना बंद हो गया, कलर्स आना बंद हो गया। तो इसकी वजह से हमारा काम को बहुत तकलीफ हुआ। तो ये हुआ कि जो हमको इससे इतना फायदा हुआ कि हम घर बैठे बैठे जैसे मनी एप्लीकेशन साइट्स जो है गूगल पे हो या फोन पे हो या पेटीएम हो, इसके जरिए से हम जो जो लोग जो बायर लोग हमसे ऑर्डर लिए वो खुद डायरेक्ट हमारा अकाउंट से इसी थ्रू से हमको मनी ट्रांसफर किया। तो ये हमारे लिए बहुत अच्छा हुआ। धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद विकास जी। एंड आपका स्कार्फ बहुत अच्छा है, आपका ही प्रोडक्शन है ये?
यस मैडम।
Okay, very nice. And all the best for your future design interventions as well. अभी हम जाएंगे हमारे नेक्स्ट आर्टिजान एंटरप्रेन्योर के पास। उनका नाम है जगजीवन चांद। उनकी साड़ीज गोपालपुर ओडिशा से हैं। वो गोपालपुर टशर में वीव करते हैं और उनकी साड़ीज बहुत यूनिक हैं क्योंकि वो जाला टेक्निक यूज करते हैं और उन्होंने बहुत कुछ एक अलग टाइप के डिजाइन्स करके उन्होंने अंतरन आर्टिजान कनेक्ट के पेज पे डाले हुए हैं। मैं जगजीवन चांद जी से ये पूछना चाहूंगी कि ये जो पैंडेमिक हुआ उससे सभी लोगों को प्रॉब्लम हुई, सभी बुनकरों को, सिर्फ आपको ही नहीं, देश के सारे ही बुनकरों को, सारे ही लोगों को लगभग कठिनाई हुई। आपको कंज्यूमर के पास पहुंच नहीं पाए, आपका माल जो है वो कहीं जा नहीं पाया। तो इस कठिनाई के ऊपर आपने कैसे मात की और ये आर्टिजान अंतरन आर्टिजान कनेक्ट के साथ आपका सफर कैसा रहा और उसमें से आपको क्या सीखने को मिला, या फिर आपने इसके लिए कुछ नया डिजाइन किया? डिजाइन के बारे में आपने क्या नया सोचा, उसके बारे में थोड़ा कुछ बताएंगे जगजीवन जी?
मैडम नमस्ते। मैं
नमस्ते
जगजीवन
जी।
चांद गोपालपुर उड़ीसा का एक टसर बनाकर हूँ। अंतरण माध्यम
जी
से मैं एक बढ़िया कस्टमर बना पाया। बहुत सारे कस्टमर मेरे सारी दुपट्टा और स्टोर में लिया था।
जी
अपना साथ लोगों के मेरे प्रोडक्ट को बारे में बोले। कस्टमर को पसंद को देखने में डिजाइन और कलर और कुछ डिजाइन चेंज करे।
जी
मैं व्हाट्सअप इंस्टाग्राम और मैं जो कस्टमर इंस्टाग्राम फोटो में ये वीडियो एवं फोटो एक ब्लाउज पीस आंचल बार फोटो भी भेजा था। एक साड़ी दुपट्टा एक किसी भी सेल भी हुआ था। ये भी बहुत अच्छा लगता है। मैं बहुत खुश है। धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद जगजीवन जी, और मैं आपको ऑल द बेस्ट कहूंगी कि आपका आगे का जर्नी भी इसी तरह से सफल रहे और आपको ऐसे ही डायरेक्ट कंज्यूमर से बात करने का मौका मिलता रहे। जैसे हमने देखा, like we saw with all the artisan entrepreneurs, we saw how this unique intervention by Antaran Artisan Connect has helped to bridge the gap between the artisan entrepreneurs and the consumers, and it has helped them innovate and to get into new design thinking and also get over the adversity with some creative thinking. They had to learn some new things, they had to unlearn some new things, but together they came up and faced this challenge quite successfully, I would say. To sell 75% of 1 crore stock is not an easy thing. I mean, many stores wouldn't have these kind of figures in the past 4 months of lockdown. So I would say this has been a very, very successful design intervention by Antaran Artisan Connect. I would like now our expert panel to talk about this, since this adversity and this lockdown has affected all of us at different levels, and all of you have worked in your own different fields, and all of you are committed finally to design thinking, which will ensure a bright future for our artisans and for our arts and crafts. So I would like to ask Hema ji, what has been your reflections on this?
Thank you, Shifali, and happy Handloom Day to everybody.
Thank you so much.
And I'm going to speak in English, and if there are certain things you'd like to convey to this wonderful team of weavers who are with us today, that's lovely. So are we beginning with just in the face of adversity and how they've actually
That's right.
through it?
Yes.
I
Yes.
feel that what has been amazing is how it's been a wonderful sort of team role, a team playing exercise, in that I think Antaran has been an amazing facilitator, but you know, you never know. It's always when a crisis hits that you understand whether everybody will rise to the occasion. And just hearing stories from these four alone, they've all risen and they've taken all the skills they've learned through this time, through the classes and the training and all the initiatives, to really shine through and sharpen up some of their entrepreneurial skills or learn new skills. And you know, somebody like Jagjeevan, who was probably already a very good designer, learned he needed to start designing for a larger audience. Getting familiar with how to work through Paytm and various financial platforms was another wonderful skill that came through with Bikash. I love the women and their Instagram and their photography and all of those creative initiatives. So all in all, wonderful. And I also want to say, I guess each community has something slightly different that poses the challenge. I would say definitely in Kamrup, one of the strengths, and I visited Kamrup personally, is that each weaver is able to do every possible weaving, you know, all the ancillary skills required to weave, so they can set their designs on the warp. They can hand spin their own yarn. So the self-sufficiency in some of these clusters is also an amazing strength. At a time like this during adversity, I'm just thinking about that because most of my work has been in Maheshwar, and Maheshwar has been in serious lockdown. So many weavers either weave at one of the charitable trusts like Reva or at Women Weave. Even some of the master weaver workshops have a number of people weaving together, which has posed a problem. And those who weave alone in their homes, in the community, are dependent on so many others to support their weaving initiatives. So,
right.
you know, in that respect, I feel some of these weaving clusters have been really blessed. Yeah, thank you.
So do you think anything is concerning, especially since craftspeople are the people who are affected the most by lockdown because their products cannot reach the market? So what would you identify as real challenges?
Well, I think, you know, just sitting here today and us having a whole chat about the Antaran, the initiative and through WhatsApp, that is the biggest challenge is the marketing. But I think the team has achieved that. But I think the other big issue that poses itself, and I'd love to hear from Bosco and Jitendra ji on this, is us as a community of buyers, as consumers. Our mindset needs to also change going ahead, and we need to look at craft as a luxury brand. So that's a larger conversation.
I think that is a very important point that you made, and I would like to hear Dr. Bosco's response to it. And especially since he works in a very niche segment, which is natural dyes. And obviously, when you use natural dyes, the cost of your product is going to go up because your quality, everything goes up. So how do you view, or how the consumer is going to view handwoven products in the future? Should it be categorized as a niche luxury item, and how it's going to turn the market on its head? I would like to hear Dr. Bosco's insights on this, please.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. And am I clear? You know, and
yes,
happy
sir.
Handloom Day to everybody.
Happy Handloom Day to you too, sir.
See, you know, we have been dealing with a number of clients, and there is a niche market where you get a value addition for your products. And we at BioDye do hand dyeing. So really you have the whole thing, you know, hand spinning, hand dyeing, and handloom weaving. So that whole thing gives you a very value-added product, and there is a market for it. In fact, we are finding in this lockdown period more and more inquiries coming for natural dyes and for handloom products. Because if you read, for example, you know, there was a nice article today in the New York Times on the fashion industry, and it's very clear that two things are standing out. The whole fast fashion market has collapsed, and you know, DTC, that's direct sales to consumers, is what is picking up. So I think in this, in that sense, this whole thing which Antara started and is well positioned, to take advantage of the changing situation which COVID has brought about. The other thing that I would like to state is that, just a minute. I would just like to take go from what Hemaji was mentioning. One of the things that we have seen is that robust clusters which have a robust have done much better than clusters which concentrate on efficiency. Like the Northeast clusters, as Hemaji mentioned, are able to do everything by themselves, while clusters like in Maheshwar have tended to work with specialists. And this is something that nature has always selected for. In the long run, being robust wins over efficiency. But in the last few years, we have tried to promote efficiency at the expense of robustness. And I think now in this, where change is going to be more frequent, we would have to look and encourage robustness over efficiency. And in that sense, we would also should encourage more, like we've seen the entrepreneurs acquiring skills, marketing skills, communication skills, and things of that type. We should also encourage the weavers whom they support to acquire other skills, like how to weave with different types of yarns, different counts of yarns. They should get out of their comfort zone and even try weaving. Most of them weave only with 2 petal looms. Try and start weaving with twill weaves so that they can serve a larger range of customers. Because if you're going to do DTC marketing, then you have to satisfy your customer and provide him with all that he requires. He's not going to come, not going to visit you for one cluster for one type of item and another cluster for another item. So your weavers should be able to have the whole set of skills which can satisfy the customer. And even, so right from dyeing, spinning, all these things. So you can make products which essentially, satisfy the customer's needs. And that is something that you have to take advantage of this lull period in the lockdown and acquire those skills. Like even, for example, we had
that's a very important point that you made, that self-sufficiency is to be encouraged over efficiency, because the more you are self-sufficient, the more you're able to handle everything related to your craft, the better it's going to be and the more advantageous it's going to be for you in the long run. So how do the artisans achieve this? Do you have any thoughts on that? How can the artisans achieve this?
See, I think you will have to conduct training programs from time to time in order to train them up. For example, as I said, most of the artisans now, natural dyeing is something that the artisans can keep on picking up. A lot of in Assam and in Nagaland, they do natural dyeing. Okay, and essentially can sell their products at a premium price. But then when I'm talking about, say, weaving skills, so they would have to be supported by giving them various type of yarns, different counts, so that they can learn how to handle these yarns. And if you're looking at, you then have to give them also a sufficient amount of yarns so that they can practice how to work with and upgrade their looms, because many of the looms in Assam and all that are really very primitive. So you need to upgrade their looms so that they can essentially, use multi pedals, and then learn how to communicate with the weavers using various software programs where the buyer can send you designs, and you can then practice and immediately communicate back to the buyer that this is the product that I've made. You like it, then I can go ahead and produce it. So I see that as the only way by which, and it's a slow process. It's not going to be an overnight process, but it can start now.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. And it's been a very important takeaway, what you said, that we have to encourage self-sufficiency over efficiency, because the whole world is sort of shifting gear from efficiency to self-sufficiency.
Right.
I would like to move next to Professor Jain. And so you've been a cultural historian. You've done considerable research in our traditions, arts and craft traditions. And Indian arts and craft traditions have always been about slow and sustainable fashion. So do you think that because of the corona pandemic, we are going back to that model of being slow and sustainable? And what are the challenges that you see? What has been your reading of the whole situation? And how Antaran Artisan Connect has helped the artisans? Professor Jay? Hello? Hello? Yeah. So I think your microphone is on mute. So your microphone is on mute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now, yes,
Oh,
now we can.
okay. Okay. Yeah. So every day almost I get mails from weavers and craft people because I've been working with them for over 40 years now. So, whatever new thing that they make, they send me designs and things like that. One after the other, 15, 20 designs come to me every day. What they are producing. But what is happening when I look at it is that because they are not able to go out because of the pandemic, they are not able to reach out to market or people, their buyers and things like that. So they are using, and I'm so flabbergasted at how fast they have taken to, they are not formally so much always educated and think how quickly they have adapted to this new thing for them, the technology, and they are reaching out. But for my feeling, culturally, we are, because of this use of new technology, we are shifting from uh, from tactility, feeling of tactility. I mean, after all, you feel the textile on yourself and you feel with your hand. We are missing out, and we are moving more and more towards visuality, in the sense that visually it is attractive and thing. But when it comes to you, suppose you go visually and design is very beautiful and you ask for something, when it comes to you, how does it feel? That aspect one would miss. And I was noticing that when Navanita was talking, then she said that when I was wearing and showing it. Now, when you're wearing and showing is one small way of somehow depicting tactility of the textile, how it folds, how it remains. These, because we can't detach. After all, textile is not just visual. First of all, it is it is touch related, touches your body. It is all the time on your body. So I think we have to perhaps find ways of telling crafts people to how to use this new technology of digital communication and visual communication. With that, what can be done that they can say? Of course, they can tell us about specifications and things like that, to tell how it feels. Because you suppose you order a thing, and we all are experiencing that on Amazon we buy something, and when something arrives, we feel that it isn't the thing that you wanted, or it's you always somehow there's some kind of. So I feel that we need to work out a system or a method by which we can use the system of, I mean, present modern communication to bring that in. It is also ironical that we are talking about today being Handloom Day, but 4 days ago, I read in newspapers, or 3 days ago, that All India Handloom Board, which was established nearly 40, 50 years ago, has been folded up by the government. So this was one forum where the bureaucrats, because formerly the textile scene, and even today, we might be perhaps the only country in the world where we have a whole ministry dedicated to textile. So, the government was the main player in production, raw material availability, marketing, all those things. and that this was the only forum where actually thrice a year crafts people were invited from all over India. In Vigyan Bhavan, we used to have a meeting. There used to be designers, there used to be experts, there used to be marketing people, both government like HHEC or cottage industry, as well as private player. That has been folded up now. So in a way, it is interesting that as this is folded up, maybe it was proving to be of not much use, but major thing that is happening and what is replacing it is the entry of the private initiative, and there is a surge in private initiatives today. I mean, that time I think it was the government everywhere, government emporia, government. Now suddenly I feel last 10 years that designers, people, exporters, they have completely marginalized the government endeavor. Not that government had bad intention, but it and things started to they didn't work. I've seen being director of the crafts museum in the Ministry of Textile, hours and hours and sometimes days together, craftspeople will come to the ministry offices and sit downstairs or outside for 2 3 days to even find access to something. Whereas I think the new scene like Antaran or several other organizations I know, they are so directly and so warmly dealing with craftspeople and actually looking into that. So from the bureaucratic uh, uh, to from the bureaucratic handling, the scene is slowly being handed over to the professionals and people who are committed and interested. So this is when we talk about today being a handloom day, I feel that this has helped craftspeople much more. The revolutions that are coming, even Fab India initially when it started, or things like that, or several other such organizations. So I feel that the scene is improving. Now, one can't say much about the pandemic now. We all know the problems of pandemic, and there are alternative routes which are not so effective beyond a point, but I think we'll overcome. Several craft people told me that this they are using the pandemic time for make piling up production and keeping it, and then they're looking for avenue which might be some solution, but obviously not the kind that it was. But so I think as far as these adversities are concerned, they are dealing with it. But this change which is coming, shift from the total government monopoly to society as such, let us say, this has a great hope. And I ask any craft people, they will tell you that they perceive this change. They see this as a great uh, opening that they are that they are facing. As far as cultural things are concerned, I'll come to it later on. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
I think you made two very important points. One is that the focus is shifting from tactility to visuality. And I can see that because in my mother's generation, nobody would even dream of buying a sari until they have touched it, they've felt the texture, and they've draped it around themselves. I mean, they couldn't even, I can't even convince her to even think about it.
I
But
know.
our generation is moving to e commerce far more easily. And now I think it's the norm for my children's generation. I mean, they just say, they don't
Yeah.
even think of going to the stores. They just say,
Yeah.
let's order it on Amazon or Flipkart or
Yeah.
whatever. So,
And how
so that is,
how
yeah,
the material falls. For example, there
yeah,
was, for example, formerly there was nobody applied a on the sari at the bottom.
hmm,
Why? I mean, textile must naturally fall for the purpose
hmm,
it is made. This new thing, because the new mercerized, how finer cotton thing they're coming, it sticks to the petticoat, and so you need to put some weight below. Many such
yeah,
examples are there where we are sort of missing out on certain things. These are finer points which one should deal with besides only marketing and of course their livelihood and things, which is very important. Okay.
Thank you so much. That was a very, very important insight. And I will talk to you more about the cultural history of textile in phase 2 of this program. As we have seen with the artisan entrepreneurs and them sharing their experiences, that it's been a unique experiment with the Antran Artisan Connect, and they had to unlearn a few things, they had to relearn a few things, they had to relook at their own products in terms of digital marketing. But I think it has been a very successful intervention, and going forward, I'm sure that these artisan entrepreneurs will share their experiences and inspire a lot of other people as well. Now we move to the phase 2 of Antaran Artisan Connect, which is actually pushing the bar a little forward, and it is including new design interventions, and that is called the Antaran Artisans Special Preview of Antaran Artisan Limited Edition Collection. So Antaran Artisan is creating an exclusive and bespoke crafting experience for craft lovers. These collections are inspired by themes of unheard stories, of deep-rooted traditional culture, and are now live and available on the Antaran website on made-to-order basis. While you receive a piece of art for yourself, this also ensures an artisan's loom and household run seamlessly. I have seen the designs in this new limited edition of Antaran Artisan Connect, and the kind of designs that they are putting forward, the kind of dyes they're using, the kind of little design interventions in the design aesthetic, how it's being changed. It's incredible. I request all the viewers to actually go and check it out on their website and see for themselves what a great experiment it's going to turn out. So moving on to this phase 2, I would ask Hema ji about her views on design thinking, because this is what the special preview of the limited edition is going to be all about. That is incorporating new design thinking. And how do you think this approach will benefit the craft community in the long run? And any particular thoughts that you have with respect to particular clusters? Right now, you just some time ago, you gave a very good example of how Maheshwar is different from the self-sufficient clusters in the Northeast, and how COVID has impacted both the clusters differently. So what is this new design intervention going to impact different viewing clusters?
Yeah, so thank you, Shefali. And you know, I guess most of my experience has been in Maheshwar, you know, for nearly 30 years. And I think the situation from craft cluster to craft cluster really varies. In the case of Maheshwar, the Ahilya Bai Holkar, when she became queen of the Malwa district, she moved. It's been said that the weaving center was moved from near Mandu to Maheshwar. She was also widowed. So there was an absolute simplicity in all the design coming from the fort, the river, and nature that surrounded it. Very geometric, very simple, very plain. But I think, and then you have, I'll just juxtapose the two very quickly. Then you have areas in the Northeast where there is so much innate design in each weaver themselves. They come with a very special attention to the way things have been done. You have a lot of tribal influence. And I guess for me, when I have thoughts about design thinking now, I always think about preserving skill sets, but pushing contemporary boundaries. I think it's very important that, and as Vasco did say earlier, we're bringing new fibers into these areas and regions, but you have to do it sensitively, because what you don't want is a situation like you have in Fulia, where so many weavers historically could weave intricate Jambani textiles, and the Japanese came and just made, they wreaked havoc, because what they did is they wanted things very simple, and the Japanese look is very clean, it's and very wabi-sabi. So what ends up happening in a situation like that is, without realizing it, unintentionally, you dumb those skills down, and you want to be able to preserve skills. So when we do any sort of innovation, we need to be attentive to the skill sets, bringing in new aspects, possibly reintroducing natural dyes, introducing fibers that work and reflect the region so that the product doesn't look homogeneous. And I just want to touch a moment on what Dr. Jain said as well. And I love what he said about from textile to visual, from tactile to visual. Textiles hold memories, and I always say this. And you have to have that sensitivity to design, because that drape and how that feel is so important when you hold that. And what he said about the recent 4-day, the disbanding of the board, I feel the government also has to play a very important role there, because the government acts as a catalyst between the weaver and the designer, because the government really holds our cultural heritage. And that cultural heritage was reflected through the 90s at the Weaver Service Centers, so that if you needed any, the Weaver Service Centers were always open to weavers as well as designers. So if you come in as a sensitive designer, you can go to the Varanasi Weaver Service Center and learn aspects about that particular area, which will be useful in how you take design forward. We are missing that link today. So that is how, that is sort of how I feel about design thinking in terms of the sensitivity that's required, but where I feel that link is possibly, we're on the way to missing that link.
Okay. That's a very interesting perspective. Thank you so much. Dr. Bosco, you have talked about natural dyes. You do a lot of work in natural dyes. And as the world moves towards slow and sustainable fashion, as we move from, mass-produced cheap fashion to niche luxury fashion, which is slow and sustainable, natural dyes sort of, generally and naturally fit into the scheme of things. So how do you see the progression of Indian weaving towards natural dyes? Right now, a lot of clusters do exclusive work only on chemical dyes, which are not good for the environment, which are not good for the skin, which are not good for anybody really. So how do we make this transition back to our heritage, which was always natural dyes? Hello?
Yeah, am I here? Can you hear me right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. See, essentially, as you mentioned earlier, natural dyes are expensive per se. You add that to handloom and you add that to, say, handspun yarns, and the entire product becomes very expensive. Therefore, it is very essential that all the steps, are of high quality. So even when you do natural dyeing, you have to ensure that it meets quality standards. And that is what we when we set out, we were very determined to ensure that, we give you, we set it out in a very, in a stepwise fashion. We first focused on getting fastness. So for example, all our colors were very fast. Then we had to get a whole range of colors, because everybody believed that, natural dyes came only in a few, you could only get a small range of colors. So we managed to get you, today you can tell us to get a Pantone, give us a Pantone number and we can get you that shade. Then we had to get all bright colors. So, it kept on, then the next thing was after you got your colors, then, as Professor Jain mentioned, we had to work on the handle. So we had to make sure that natural dyes don't give you yarn and fabric which are stiff, that they drape properly. They're soft to feel. So essentially, only when you conquer all these things can you get a product which meets the high-end demand of the market. And that is what the artisans would also have to do. They would have to learn how to, it's not, just sort of dump dye in a dyeing vessel, put your yarn in, boil it, and take out a product. You will not get a high-quality product in that particular way. You have to essentially experiment and with your locally available material. Like, for example, both the Assam clusters and the Nagaland clusters use their locally available material. So they have to experiment and learn how to essentially get products which can meet the high-end demands of the market. Only then, we can basically transition from, and there are people willing to pay. It's not that people aren't willing to pay. People are willing to pay for a good product. But we have to give them that good product, which does not bleed, and gives the designer the color story they want. See, right now people tend to say that, oh, these are the colors we get, you work with it. While we have a different paradigm, you tell us a Pantone number, which fits your story, and we will get you that shade. So you have to move in that direction. And only when you do that, will you be able to penetrate the upper segments of the markets.
Okay. That's it's actually a very fascinating subject. So do you actually say that natural dyes can meet all the possible shades that chemical dyes can give you? I mean, is it technically possible?
Yeah, I mean, see, one of the things that we faced earlier was because we use a fermentation vat with indigo, and we use cassia tora as a food, which is a traditional Indian way of doing a fermentation vat. A lot of the muddiness of the yellows and the browns from the cassia tora would get onto the blue. So we wouldn't get an indigo which was pure blue. It was slightly blackish blue. But we use this, this lull period of the COVID to really refine our techniques. And now we get very clear blue. So we get clear blues, we get clear yellows, we get clear reds, and we get jet blacks. So these are the primary colors. And we have learned how to mix them. So you give us a Pantone number and we can get it. So that's what we have shown. We've shown that you can get fast colors, you can get bright colors, and you can mix colors to get any color that you want. So that has been really our contribution to natural dyeing in the textile sector. And this is something that the artisans, already know that this can be done, and therefore they can, experiment and learn it for themselves. So that is
this is fascinating. This is really fascinating, because every time I visited weaving clusters, the question I often asked was about natural dyes, and they would say that okay, we would like to use natural dyes, but we never get that kind of variety that we get in chemical dyes. But what you're saying is a revelation, and I'm so glad to hear that. Professor Jain, to come back to you, I wanted to hear your insights about, is there any particular textile tradition that you have in mind that you think is a pride of our heritage? I know that India has a very, very rich and varied arts and craft tradition from every part. But is there anything that stands out to you as a cultural historian which should acquire a pride of place? That is one. And what is your view about the Western viewpoint on cultural appropriation and how it affects our craft heritage? And I'm asking this because I have seen many of the Western designers, they copy our designs without giving due credit to the artisans. And they simply, just take it and they pay the artisan a pittance, but that line is sold as their line.
Yeah. So I take second question first. The thing is that actually, what is this word handloom? It didn't exist. So handloom is a kind of post-Khadi aesthetic movement. Because Khadi became very drab. It had its own nationalist function, movement, freedom, whatever we all know. Sarojini Naidu, for example, once told Gandhiji, and this is quoted in her biography, that she said, I'm not going to the round table conference wearing your drab khadi. So she said, I'm going to wear Kanjivaram and this. And they had very good relationship, Gandhi and Sarojini Naidu. The interesting moment for me was that we were losing out on a certain traditional aesthetic, because khadi was meant to be as drab as possible, or because the idea was not to be comfortable. There's that wonderful incident that when Nehruji was in jail, Jawaharlal Nehru, he asked his father to send him a pair of khadi kurta and dhoti. And his father thought, being father, very finest possible he sent to him. When Nehru saw this, he said, no, but that's not the purpose of khadi, to go into the elitist, the best and whatever. So first he thought he'll return. And then Nehruji writes that, no, but I retained because Kriplani wore even finer. So the thing was that, so this desire for new aesthetic, well, khadi was devoid of aesthetic, but it had a certain purpose. So we might consider that purpose as aesthetic is a different thing. So handloom, the word handloom, and you asked me about Western exploitations and many other things. It's very interesting that actually handloom was kind of colonially driven fabric. Why? Because handloom is hand woven, but yarn used is mill spun.
machine made, yeah, mill spun, yeah.
So machine spun yarn and woven, that comes with the colonial spinning mills and also
Hmm.
importing machine woven yarn to India. So handloom comes with that, one thing. You were asking about Western,
Yeah.
then what happened was that when spinning mills came, the second stage was mass-produced Indian designs in the mills of Lancashire, Manchester, Glasgow. So
Hmm.
Indian designs were mass-produced, screen printed, etc., and were sent here and were much, much cheaper than like almost 20% of the production cost of Indian motif. But from distance, it looked like the same. And
Hmm.
communities, once upon a time, all entire community would wear one kind of fabric. It was a custom, So these
Hmm.
pockets were catered to by Manchester, Glasgow, this kind of thing. Then what happened was uh, uh, there were traditional articles, Indian textile. Khadi was devoid of that, as I said. So handloom is a revivalistic movement, actually, because khadi. But interestingly, that before because I don't know why khadi, technically, before the coming of handloom, everything was khadi, not only what Gandhiji proposed.
Hmm.
Anything, whether it was patola, whether it was whichever genre of Indian textile you take, this was all khadi because all hand spun yarn was used.
Uh-huh.
And therefore, actually, handloom has something to do with colonialism and rise of that. And then handloom it's a revivalistic movement. So whether you have patolas, whether you have the temple sarees or whatever you have, it is brocade. It's all revivalistic because it is revived in a new material called handloom.
Hmm.
So then dyes began to change also. So what we are having today as traditional, of course, there is a lot of traditional element, but what we have traditional is actually speaking revived. It
Hmm.
is the one what we call tradition kind of ongoing. It has changed a lot. Then uh, and then today is in modern space tradition, interestingly, and I think in every respect positive, is a revival of tradition as modernity, which I think is very interesting. Go to Southeast Asia, everyone is wearing knitwear and things, and they also had great tradition. It's only
Yeah.
India, go to colleges, things, see young girls. Then sari, for example, has still remained, even when people go. And sari was the backbone of textile handloom industry or
Hmm.
as such. So sari, you can't make sari in mill sector. You can print a border, but
Hmm.
border, pallu, and the body of the sari. This has, if sari completely goes out, believe me, handloom goes out. Then what remains is hand block printed fabric or things like that. So this, I think, is very important component in the survival of handloom as such. Now, Viva Service, Hema, you mentioned Viva Service Center. We have closed down, as I said, we folded up the All India Handloom Board. More or less, river service centers are becoming defunct, which is a pity because it was river service, the only element or of government of India's entire machinery of protecting traditional textile were weaver services, and they had hired the best possible weavers, technicians, or dye people, yarn people. Even today, if you ask somebody like Bijan and things, they'll tell you their weaver service experience, how important they were, and then this exhibition, then Martin Singh did uh, Master Weavers, for which I wrote the text, and we were involved in that. That whole capital that we are missing out because we are ignoring. And like the handloom board, one day we will fold up Weaver Service Center also. Another interesting thing was Weaver Service Center that India's topmost artists were working with that. And it's interesting that it was not designers who were taken, but artists were taken. For one possibility, though designers would also have that to some extent, is the capability of abstraction. That is, when you take a motif, you take a leaf, you take a flower, or any natural motif, when you transform it into almost digital geometric, because weaving functions with digital kind of manner, so to say. So, leading to abstraction. This was an important fact, and abstraction was directly connected with simplification. So, modernity, uh, one of the important elements of modernity is abstraction and simplification. We all know that, you know. So when you simplify a motif or colors and things like that, and when you so you get into the area of abstraction, and I think that this has happened in today in handloom in a very, very big way. For example, most beautiful examples of using simplified geometry is the Naga textile. You know, unbelievable. And several of northeastern textiles and many others also. Orissa, for example, you know, they are simplifying things in a very beautiful way. So that brings me to last point. That is, take the terms of motifs. Take Make an inventory of 20 motifs of Odisha saris, for example. Ask them what is this round thing, then they'll say Rudraksh. They say, oh, how Rudraksh has been simplified into a motif. And that whole play of this abstraction simplification sort of appeals to us in a way and makes it very, you know, more and more attractive and things like that. And uh, therefore, for example, I have mentioned it in some of our meetings. There was this poet, 17th century poet in Odisha called Upendra Bhanj. And Upendra Bhanj used to make bandhas, meaning geometric design of Chinese, and then he used to put letters of alphabet in that. But anyone who knew the clue, and you are from literature, that you had the key, then you could read the stanza, but otherwise you couldn't. And those motifs now, weavers of Odisha have brought and became you know. And lastly, can I take one more minute?
Yes, please. It's very fascinating what you're saying.
And you know, uh, cultural tradition we are talking about. Imagine the words that Indian textile. You know, we have heard the word tantra, and when I say tantra, our mind goes to tantric philosophy or tantric practice. Nothing to do with it. Tantra, you open Sanskrit dictionary and tantra means loom. It means loom. Indian philosophical and literary terminology, for example, say sutra. Now, you know, sutra literature, Vedic literature, end of Vedic literature, towards the end, before the Upanishad, whole sutra literature is there. That sutra literature is in brief, you state something. It's a sutra, you know. Or take Granthi. Grantha is, you know, like in Hindi we say Gathan. Grantha. Grantha also means a book. So I think, you know, there are so many, a country which had its philosophical terminology and literary terminology arising out of textile terminology, which I think is ancient. It sounds like, okay, what has that to do with today's production marketing? I tell you that I can even directly relate this to marketing is that if you give a small piece of write-up along with the thing that you sell, and if you put any of this, people would look at things differently. Their liking will change because they see that other meanings which are in it. Sorry to take that much time.
No, no, no. It's very fascinating. Just this morning, I had shared a Richa from Rigveda, which talks exactly about that. Which talks about Tantu Tanve. It uses the terminology of weaving to saying that you walked the lit path of knowledge. So it's very fascinating. Even the terms otaprot, which in Marathi we use as something that is filled totally, but that actually comes from Tana Bana, the warp and the weft. So it's very, very fascinating what you're saying.
Yeah. So
Thank you
we
so
use
much.
this for marketing also. What I feel is that you know, it is to come, like when we see Chinese or Japanese products coming to us, you know, how they supply a small write-up. explaining the importance of its making, its material thing. We are not using any of that. We're just concentrating on the visual. Sorry.
No. It's fascinating, and I would love to meet you sometimes to discuss this more. It's been a wonderful learning experience, this whole session.
Yeah.
But to move on, I will again go back to the artisan entrepreneurs and talk to them about their forthcoming collections and what has been their learning with this new design collection specifically. I'll start with you, Lovi. I hope you can hear me. What is the story behind your new heirloom inspiration?
Okay, thank you once again for the time. And yes, just going straight to the point. Heirlooms are more than just an object that are passed down from generation to generation. It is a memory and practices that teach us and remind us more about our ancestors and heritage. So it is not something new for me to get and for me that I got an inspiration from other person or for some from some other particular things or reason. Rather, I can proudly say that it was there in my blood from the time I was born. So now coming back to my special preview collection called Heirloom, what was an inspiration or how I was motivated. When I started this journey, I was so surprised that I was so surprised in the meantime, so much encouraged by how people flocked to the other artisan and to me, asking and inquiring about the products, its process, and motif that were used on each and every product. And it was not possible to explain about every product, um, every product, but I thought that it would be a great or a good idea to come up with a special collection with all the necessary details which will be for the enthusiastic buyer. Now yes, the coming up of this collection called Heirloom is an attempt to preserve the essence of Naga tribes, and it signifies a very strong relationship among the tribes of Nagas. So using traditional motifs and its patterns, both traditional and contemporary designs were created in such a way that together form a concise collection that represents Nagas as a whole in family. So while I get this opportunity, I would also like to grab it in saying that yes, my new collection called Heirloom is now available in Antaran Artisan Connect website with more details. And yes, I warmly welcome you all to connect with me more through this special collection of mine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lovi. It looks fascinating, and I just love the monochrome palette that you've used. And I wish you all the best for the next phase of your weaving, and may you be even more successful than you were in the past. All the very best. I
Thank
will
you.
now move to, thank you so much. I will now move to Nabanita. नबनीता, आपका नया कलेक्शन है वो नेचुरल डाइज के ऊपर है, और आपने उसको बोला भी, नाम भी दिया है ओनली नेचुरल्स, एंड आई कैन सी दैट इट्स अ वेरी वंडरफुल म्यूटेड पैलेट. अच्छा, बहुत सुंदर रंग है उसमें आपने यूज किए हुए. उस कलेक्शन के बारे में आप कुछ लोगों को बताना चाहेंगी?
थैंक यू मैम, सेकंड टाइम के लिए. सो इसके जो मोटिव का इंस्पिरेशन लेती हूँ, तो भी मेरे सारों और आसपास में जो भी है फूल, जो भी है पत्ते, इसमें से सारों ओर से जो भी मोटिव है सब मैं उसमें से इंस्पिरेशन लेती हूँ. और जो भी हमारा आसम का जो भी ट्रेडिशनल मोटिव है, तो मैं हमारे आसपास में बिहू है, बिहू फेस्टिवल है, तो बिहू का हमारा ऊपर भी हम काम करते हैं. और अभी जो हमारे जो ऑलरेडी जो नेचुरल प्रोडक्ट है, अभी स्पेशल रिव्यू में मैंने एडी सिल्क के ऊपर नेचुरल डाई के ऊपर में जो नेचुरल डाई है वो अभी हम जो भी है हल्दी, जैसे काम है हल्दी अभी जो भी मेहंदी असमी का जो मेहंदी का है उसका कलर भी आता है, और इसमें मंजिस्ता और एक जो वो फूल का भी कलर आता है, नेचुरल डाई भी करती हूँ। और ये जो एक साबुन है एक जो यहाँ पे नहीं मिलता है मैम, तो बाहर से पड़ता है ये, बाकी तो नेचुरल कलर आता है। तो उसमें अभी एरिसिल के ऊपर मैं अभी के ऊपर वो नेचुरल डाई के ऊपर काम कर रही हूँ। अब उसमें जो मोटिव लगाया है, जो इसमें मोटिव कर रही हूँ उसका मोटिव तुलसी का पेड़ होता है, तुलसी का दाना होता है, उसके ऊपर मोटिव अभी मैंने तुलसी के दाना के ऊपर मोटिव को उसको ऊपर से वो करने के बाद उसको मोटिव बनना, फिर उसको लगाना कर दिया। अभी वो न्यू कलेक्शन मेरा हो गया तो ऊपर तुलसी के दाना के ऊपर।
बहुत सुंदर कलेक्शन है। हेलो, बहुत सुंदर कलेक्शन है आपका, और मैं चाहूंगी कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग उसे देखें और ऑर्डर करें, क्योंकि इस तरह एरी में नेचुरल डाइस मैंने पहले कभी देखा नहीं है। तो आई विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट। मैं आपको बधाई देना चाहती हूँ कि आप इतना अच्छा एक्सपेरिमेंट कर रही हैं, और मैं ये चाहूंगी कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग ये देखें और ऑर्डर करें। थैंक यू सो मच नवनीता। Now I'll move to Bikash. Your collection is actually has a very fascinating name. It's called Bodhisattva, and I can see that you've used some very different designs. आपने बहुत अलग तरह के डिजाइन यूज किए हैं, बहुत अलग तरह के रंग यूज किए हैं, और आपके कलेक्शन का नाम बोधिसत्व है। तो उसके बारे में कुछ बताएंगे, बोधिसत्व नाम क्यों रखा, उसके पीछे आपकी सोच क्या है?
जी मैडम, नमस्ते। ये बोधिसत्व नाम इसलिए रखा गया है क्योंकि वो जब हम प्रोडक्ट बनाते हैं और बेचते हैं उसके पीछे का कोई स्टोरी होना चाहिए। तो हम जहाँ जहाँ से इंस्पिरेशन लेकर बनाते हैं, नेचर से हो या मंदिर से हो, मस्जिद से हो, वो तो ऐसे ही हमने बनाया है, लोगों ने पसंद भी किए है लिए है। लेकिन इस बार जो स्पेशल प्रीव्यू का जो साड़ी हमने बनाया है, तो वो स्पेशली हमारा गाँव की जो ट्रेडिशन है, जैसे बहुत पुराना है हमारा गांव के ट्रेडिशन, जैसे सारे गांव के लोग इकट्ठ का काम कर रहे हैं। और इसके साथ मैं बोलता हूँ कि 90% लोग 90% लोग बौद्ध धर्मावलंबी है, मतलब बौद्ध धर्म को मानते हैं। तो जो बौद्ध धर्म के एक आता है बोधिसत्व, और जो लोग बुद्ध होने के मार्ग पर चलते हैं, और उनका पहला का जो प्रोसेस जो है हमें बताते हैं, जो प्रोसेस है, जैसे हम स्टेप बाय स्टेप जाते हैं। जैसे गौतम बुद्ध की जो शिक्षा थी, पहला जो ध्यान है, तो ध्यान को हमने आगे रखा। फिर उनका जो करुणा है, मुदिता है, उपेक्षा है, ये जो 4 स्टेप है उनको हमने रखा है, क्योंकि इसीलिए हमने उनका नाम बोधिसत्व रखा। और इसीलिए भी रखा कि हमारा साड़ी अगर कोई पसंद करे और खरीदे तो साड़ी तो सेल होगा, इसके साथ बौद्ध की परंपरा और हमारा गांव की जो ट्रेडिशन, उसके साथ वो भी सारा देश में, सारा विश्व में प्रसिद्ध होगा। इसीलिए हमने उसका नाम बोधिसत्व ही रखा है। यही था हमारा।
बहुत अच्छा आइडिया है, और मैं चाहती हूँ कि आपका ये जो नया कलेक्शन है वो बहुत बहुत सक्सेसफुल हो जाए, ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग उसे देखें, ऑर्डर करें। और इसके आगे पीछे की जो सोच है, जैसे आप बता रहे हैं कि आपकी संस्कृति की खुशबू है उसमें, आपकी जड़ों की मिट्टी है उसमें, तो ये बहुत अच्छा लगा मुझे। मैं चाहती हूँ कि ये कलेक्शन ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग देखें।
ना
अभी मैं
बोलना चाहता हूँ कुछ 1-2
हाँ
लाइन
जी,
में।
हाँ जी,
अभी ये तो साइड हमारा खुल गया स्पेशल प्रीव्यू का। पहले हम प्रोडक्ट बनाए थे, फिर लोग पसंद करते, फिर हम बेचते थे। अभी ये जो स्पेशल प्रीव्यू का जो हो गया, तो पहले हम डिजाइन बनाए हैं, फिर लोग उसको पसंद करते, फिर हम उसको साड़ी पे बना के उनको देते हैं। वो पहले का और हम रखते हैं। तो ये एक चैलेंज है हमारे लिए, जो आर्टिसन लोग हम अंतरण के साथ काम कर रही है, नया नया कलर के साथ, नया नया मोटिव डिजाइन के साथ, ये हमारे लिए एक डिजाइन मतलब चैलेंज है। वो हमको अच्छा लग रहा है कि हम कुछ नया कर रही है। तो मैं सबको रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहता हूँ कि आप लोग आइए, अंतरण कनेक्ट जो आर्टिसन कनेक्ट जो वेबसाइट है, आप लोग देखिए, उनसे हमारा प्रोडक्ट पसंद करिए। ये हमको अच्छा लगेगा, हमारे जो बुनकर भाइयों के लिए। तो आप लोगों की सहायता और सहयोग हम कामना करते हैं। और मैं एक जो जितना भी आर्टिसन हम अंतरण से जुड़े हुए हैं, सबकी एक एक ब्रांड हमने कर रखी है। तो ज़्यादा दिन भी नहीं हुआ, किसका 2 महीना हुआ, किसका 4 महीना हुआ। तो मैं मेरे ब्रांड के बारे में एक लाइन बोलना चाहता हूँ। खिमरी मेरा ब्रांड का नाम है, जो सिर्फ 6-7 महीने से अभी हुआ है। तो मैं स्पेशल ये बोलना चाहता हूँ कि मैडम जैसे घर पे बच्चा पैदा होती है, जैसे उनका वो पहले जैसा परिवार मिलती है, जैसा देखती है, जैसा सुनती है, वो ऐसा बन जाती है। तो मेरा सौभाग्य है, मैं पहले से आप लोगों की जैसे मतलब सहायता मिला, आप लोगों के साथ मिला, तो इतना अच्छा परिवार मुझे मिला। मैं सोचता हूँ आप लोगों की सहयोग और सहायता और कुछ शिक्षा मिले तो मैं कुछ अच्छा सीख सकता हूँ, अच्छा कर सकता हूँ, अच्छा भी बन सकता हूँ। ये मेरी अनुरोध है आप सबसे। इतना कह के मैं मेरा वक्तव्य रखता हूँ। नमस्ते, धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू विकास। आपका हैंडल मैंने देखा है इंस्टाग्राम पे khimri.ikat करके, बहुत अच्छे फोटोग्राफ्स डाले हैं आपने। मैं चाहती हूँ कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग इसे देखें। जगजीवन जी,
अभी तो मैडम
आपकी तरफ आते हुए जी, जगजीवन जी अभी आपकी तरफ आती हूँ मैं। आपका जो नया वाला कलेक्शन है जिसका नाम आपने रखा है घोड़ा नवमी कलेक्शन, उसमें से एक साड़ी मैंने भी ऑर्डर की है बाय द वे। तो ये जो जाला वर्क में आपने जो पल्लू डिजाइन किया है और सारे जो कलर स्कीम्स जो आपने डिजाइन किए, उसके बारे में कुछ बताएंगे? और ये घोड़ा नवमी की आइडिया आपको कहाँ से आई कि ये इस थीम पे हम लोग एक पूरा कनेक्शन बनाते हैं? जगजीवन भाई आप म्यूट पे हैं, आपका माइक चला दीजिए। म्यूट पे हैं, सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है। हाँ अब बोलिए।
फास्ट जो देवदास सर आसिले, मैं ओडिया
हाँ
में
अब बोलिए।
मैं ओडिया में
हाँ
बात करें। मैं दोस्त विकास
ठीक है,
महापात्र हिंदी से बात कर रहे हैं, जो ट्रांसलेट कर रही है।
यस भाई।
ठीक है,
फास्ट
बोलिए।
देवदास सर मो पाक आसिले, आसी मते कहले गोटे टाटा टच कंपनी गोटे अच्छी गोटे मु जान नथिली, ସେଥିରେ कहले एमनी डिजाइन बहुत काम हुए। मैं हो करिया मैं तापर कहले मु गोटे मैडम नेकी आसीबी, आसला परे गोटे तुम डिजाइन काम किछ करबो। किछि दिन गला परे डिसेंबर 15 हबो, तापर से मैडम आ देवदास सर आसिले, कहले तमे कोन करो ना मु डिजाइन काम करे। कहला परे से देखिले तमे मो जाला फिटिंग हेची, कहले तमे जाला करि पारे, मु हां करि पारे करूची।
जगजीवन भाई ठीक
आ
है,
सेथि
ट्रांसलेट कर दूसरी। मैडम
गोटे
जगजीवन ने ऐसे बोले कि
डिजाइन करबा पे
जगजीवन
एक
प्लीज,
लूम
जगजीवन प्लीज।
फांका करो
एक मिनट।
कले हमें।
हेलो
हेलो
हेलो,
हाँ
हाँ
जगजीवन
विकास
टिके
जी आप
रुहतु।
बोलिए।
हाँ जगजीवन टिके रुहतु, मु ट्रांसलेट कर देला पर आपण बोलिबे।
ठीक।
हाँ
हाँ मैडम, अभी जगजीवन भाई ने जो बोल रहे थे वो पहले गोपालपुर में है, गोपालपुर से है। वो
जी
जाला घर है। वो पहले उनको उनके साथ जो हमारा अंतरण की टीम से जो सार गोपालपुर में अभी है देवदास जी और मैडम उषा मैडम जी, वो उन्होंने उनसे पहले मिले, जो आपको उन्होंने बोल रहे थे कि दिसंबर 15 को उनसे मिले और उनके साथ जाके उनके साथ उनका जो लूम है वो देखे, फिर उनके बाद बोलेंगे। बोलिए जी।
किछि दिन गला परे गोटे हमर गोटे नवमी जो जनवरी मासरे पोष मास हमर ओडिया मास अरे गोटे नवमी तिथि पड़े, नड़ा नवमी सेटारे हमर घोड़ा पूजा हुए तंत पाखरे। से तंत पाखरे हम आसले से देवदास सर आ मैडम आसी पहुंचले, से देखिले फेस्टिवल को देखिले।
जो उनके गांव पे जैसे हमारा पौष मास होता है, जैसे दिसंबर और जनवरी के बीच में जो पौष मास होता है, उसका जो अमावस्या तिथि होता है, अमावस्या के बाद 8 दिन के बाद जैसे 9वां दिन जो होता है, उसी 9वां दिन में एक घोड़ा रख के लूम के पास वो उनके पूजा कुछ करते हैं। तो
अच्छा
सर और मैडम ने आए और देखे और उनको पूछे वो क्या है।
अच्छा
जो फेस्टिवल देखी से भाई बहुत खुशी हेले, खुशी होला पर कहले एई तापर किछि दिन गला मो पाखु आसी पहुंचले सार आ ये देव सार मैडम आसले, तापर मो बापा मु हम बसी गोटे आलोचना कले, तमे गोटे डिजाइन भलो करि पारो, तमे एई घोड़ा नवमीटा तमे केनी तंतर केमी फिटिंग करि परिबो। बोलिए बोलिए देवदास।
उसके बाद सर और मैडम ने जगजीवन के साथ सॉरी मेरे साथ हमारे घर आए, मेरे पापा और मुझसे बुला के एक साथ बुला के फिर वो घोड़ा नवमी के बारे में चर्चा की कि बोले वो क्या है, तो उनके अगर वो इसमें कुछ विशेषता है तो क्या इसको मोटिव से लेकर क्या हम उसमें साड़ी में बना सकते हैं?
या तापरे से गोटे आसी गोटे ग्राफ कले, ग्राफ कला परे गोटे डिजाइन कले, घोड़ार डिजाइन आमर जो छणर घोड़ा हुए से डिजाइन कले, कला परे से घोड़ाटा मु तंत्र फिटिंग कली, फिटिंग कला परे
और इसके बाद सर और मैडम ने आए जो हम जैसे धान जो छन होता है, छन 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 से जो घोड़ा प्रस्तुत करके हमारा फेस्टिवल होता है, उसको आँख में आगे रख के तो ग्राफ में इसका डिजाइन किए और उनको बोले कि लूम से कैसे फिटिंग हो जाए, और इसके लिए बोले
घोड़ा जो फिटिंग हुआ जो तंत्र जो फिटिंग कली, फिटिंग कला परे से गोटे भारी गोटे असुविधा है जोटा कि मैंने बेसी भसा भसा रहा रहा पर ताकू फेरे गोटे साड़ी आम से गोटे बुनाई देली सेटा गोटे है ना, तापर सेकेंड बार गोटे एमती भी आउ टे डिजाइन चेंज कलु से भी आउ है ना, दुईटा शाढ़ी गला 3 नंबर शाढ़ी को मैडम आसी आम घर पाखे गोटे बस डिजाइन कले कौन कले आउ टे भल हो, गोटे सिपाही बसैकी से घोड़ार आउ टे ड्रॉइंग आंकिले।
जब शुरुआत हुआ तो शुरुआत में कुछ दिक्कत हुआ, तो दिक्कत होने के बाद फिर मैडम ने आई और फिर एक बार डिजाइन चेंज की।
जो घोड़ा को भी हमें बर्तन जो तंत्र फिटिंग कलु से शाढ़ी बर्तन 3 नंबर शाढ़ी बाहर बर्तन से मार्केट को आम वेबसाइट में छाड़लु, छाड़ापर आम बहुत से डिमांड है जहाँफल बर्तन आज सारा विश्व घोड़ा नवमी पूजा शाढ़ी बर्तन बहुत डिमांड भी अच्छे।
वो फाइनल साड़ी निकलने के बाद हमने मार्केट को उसका फोटोकॉपी भेजा, तो लोगों ने देखे और पसंद किए और अभी इसका ऑर्डर भी आया है।
बहुत सुंदर है, मैंने खुद ऑर्डर किया है जगजीवन जी बूढ़ा नवमी का साड़ी, और ये बहुत ही सुंदर डिजाइन हैं। और मैं चाहती हूँ फिर से लोगों को, जो लोग ये देख रहे हैं, मैं उनसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि आप अंतरन आर्टिजन का पेज देखें इन द स्पेशल एडिशन, just see the sarees and see the experimentation that these different artisan entrepreneurs have done. They've used their own imagination, they have inculcated stories from their own culture, and they've come out with collections which are really going to be awesome. So please have a look, please order, please support this initiative by Antaran Artisan Connect. And with this, we end this conversation, but I would like to end with my own experience with Antaran Artisan Connect. Actually, I came to know about Antaran Artisan Connect on Twitter when somebody sent me the link and said, just check it out. Here you can directly connect with the viewers and see their products, and you can order directly from them. So when I went to the site and I saw the saris, and I saw that they had divided it by clusters. So there were saris from Gopalpur cluster, there were saris from Manyabandha, there were saris from Assam, there were saris from Venkatgiri in the south. And all the saris were really good. And the best thing was you could directly get in touch with a weaver and you could order saris from them. Initially, there was a little bit of the trust thing because you didn't know the weaver. So you wanted to just order the product and transfer the money first, and they would send the saris back to you. But the way this whole experience was handled, the way the weavers replied to the queries, they sent the pictures, the way they responded very quickly, they sent invoice within literally like 30 seconds. I ordered a sari from the one that I'm wearing is from Arjun Pal from Manyabandha actually, and there's another sari I ordered from Chaturbuja Junior, and both of them they responded with the invoice within 30 seconds. Jagjivanji also responded with the invoice within like 5 minutes, and it was all very confidence building. It was very reassuring. And when I finally saw the products and they delivered it when they said they would deliver, and the products were beyond my expectations. Even I had the same misgivings that Professor Jain was talking about, that there was no tactile feeling there because I was just seeing the pictures and ordering. But when the saris arrived and when I draped them around myself, I realized that they were even better than what I thought they would be. So I was very, very happy with Antaran's this intervention, Antaran Artisan Connect. And I'm really looking forward to the next version of it, which is the special edition, where they have given new designs to the weavers, and the weavers have also put in a lot of their cultural insights, their stories, their own experiences, and they've come up with these wonderful collections. And I am really waiting for my new saris to arrive from this limited connection. But I would request everybody who's listening to this conversation on Facebook or on Instagram or on Zoom, please check the website of Antaran Artisan Connect Special Editions and see the designs that you like. Get in touch with the artisans. If you have any queries, if you have any questions, please ask them. They will not hesitate to answer them. And do order, and I'm sure that will be a great addition to your wardrobes. It certainly is going to be a great addition to my wardrobe. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप सबको कि आपने आज यहाँ आके हम सबसे बात की. You let us know about your new ventures, and I thank the experts as well, Professor Jain, Dr. Bosco, Hemaji, for taking out your time and talking to us. And it's been a wonderful conversation. I learned so much out of this. Vishesh, I would
Yes.
like to invite
Thank you.
Vishesh
Yes.
of Antaran to wrap it up.
Thank you, everybody. And I think on this special occasion of National Handloom Day, we heard such a great insight from all our experts and the artisans with a great smile. And we thank Himaji to give us her thoughts on design thinking. She has been always been supporting. She was throughout the process of the new design collection that came in. She has been helping the team. Professor Jain, with his beautiful poetic sense, which he weaves the story and he relays different anecdotes about tradition and culture, and Dr. Posco with reality of how textiles are moving and how we should focus towards adding strength, the core strength of handloom, which lies in natural dyes. So I think we've learned a lot. And last for the least, Shefali ji, who had conducted such a beautiful discussion with the artisans and our experts. So we welcome all to the antaranartisanconnect.in. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and our artisans' numbers and their details are also present. So please feel free to directly connect with us. If you have any queries, please write us to us antaran@tatatrust.org, and we will be happily facilitating all the conversations and discussions with the artisans as well as our experts. Thank you all, and have a great evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and wish you all a very, very happy Handloom Day.
Thank you so much, Shefali,
Shefali. Thank you so
Vishesh,
much.
and everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.